So looking at prioritize and the member action plot. This is a really interesting area, and it is a guide to what are the things you should be focusing on. The plot actually maps out the questions related to the likelihood to recommend. So the key question we ask is the MPS question, and that's the likelihood to recommend. And what we're looking at here is how does that relate to the member's likelihood to continue, or the overall friendliness of the club, the overall cleanliness, or the value satisfaction. And the way this plot works is that this is strengths over this side of the graph, so it goes from weakness to strength. And these are important strengths in this quadrant here, and these are unimportant strengths. Let me explain the difference. So unimportant strength is something that you're good at, but it's not influencing the likelihood for the member to recommend. And that's important to know, okay? So cleanliness is an important strength. Keep it up. There's no reason to take the pedal off the gas or the foot off the pedal. But what we want to do is know that that's it's an important thing, but it's not something that you need to put a lot of focus on because you're obviously doing it well. The further it is across here, the better you're doing it. So this is starting to get a little marginal. So you want to say, okay, if across this line, cleanliness is starting to become a weakness, and that's not good. If you look at overall friendliness, it's high on both metrics. So it's an important strength, and you're doing a really good job of it. And you can see it's in the green here. And likelihood to continue is also doing pretty well. Would we like to improve that? Sure. And you improve the likelihood to continue through overall friendliness, overall cleanliness, and the sense of value. Now, if we look at the one that's flagging a bit here, it's a weakness. It's in the unimportant quadrant, but it's moving into the important quadrant. And so if value satisfaction was up in this quadrant up here, it would be a real concern. It's something you'd want to be addressing. And value of satisfaction is, I've explained this once before, usually related to attendance. If the person's coming regularly 2, 3, 4 times a week, they're going to be typically seeing value. If they're coming once a week or once a month, they're not seeing value. And I'll use the example that if you've got a membership that's $30 a week, $120 a month, and they're coming once a month, it's $120 a visit. You can understand why they're not seeing value. So attendance is a really important metric there, but it's also a perception. If that member was coming once a month and they were paying $120 a visit, but they love the club, it's just that they travel a lot and they're using clubs internationally and in other places, this is their club and that's their home club. They may see value in that, right? But generally, it is related to the attendance. This is an action plot, and it's designed to help guide you on the things that you should be focusing on. And typically, you want to focus on things in this quadrant up here. Nothing in there, but value satisfaction is moving into that space. And so it might be related to particular members' attendance. So the other thing here is we use some filters here. So we can reset those filters, and you will see that the action plot changes now. So what we're looking at is likelihood to recommend across all metrics. And you can see overall friendliness is still up here, but likelihood to continue has dropped. Value satisfaction, again, something we want to address. Overall cleanliness has actually moved up to an unimportant strength, so it's actually overall better. But you can look at this, and it's important to remember through the filters, and that's the best way to think about the action plot is, what do you want to filter for? What do you want to know? And you can filter it by unit, so what the club is. You can filter it by most valued amenity, which is what we're doing for cardio equipment. And there are additional filters, which you can look at things like specifics of membership type. And you can say, okay, I want to look at all the corporate memberships and what actions I need to take there. And you can look at the plot there, and you can see that the corporate members are essentially saying that you're not as friendly as overall you're seeing at the rest of the sectors, but it's not a detriment to you. It's not affecting their likelihood to recommend, right? Their value satisfaction's higher because they're probably on a cheaper membership, typically happens, likelihood to continue is higher. They may be subsidized, for example. So there's things that drive these metrics that you can look at relative to the corporate. So as I'm suggesting here, the filters are a really important thing. But it's important to reset those filters back to zero, or to set your filters up to save them if there's a report you want to run regularly here. And I showed this before, but you can save that in the save filters here, and it will filter by that particular thing, and you can create any filters you want. And all you do there is set your filter up. So I'm going to do it for 2 clubs that both have corporate, or but yeah, let's stick to corporate memberships. And we're going to say membership type, and we're going to say corporate, and I'm going to save that filter, and I'm going to call it corporate Brisbane and Sunnybank or Sunny Slopes, because I'm running a report here on corporates, but I am segmenting it. I'm actually saying I'm just looking at the 2 clubs here, so I save that as a different report. And when I go up here, I can see I've got now a 3rd report saved. So setting up reports is a really good thing to save time and get the information that you need.